Charles Oliveira versus Dan Hooker in the works for UFC 305 in Australia, according to Dan Hooker. And also, this is in the works as well. Charles Oliveira versus Benoit Saint-Denis. Apparently, there's a bunch of stories going round. I think the most legitimate of all of them is the Charles Oliveira versus Dan Hooker fight at UFC 305. However, there's more to discuss. Sean Strickland sparred a Japanese K1 champion in Japan. And it was a really good sparring session. The guy was actually landing some really big shots on Strickland. So I thought we'd watch that in today's video and I'd give my reaction to it. Because I actually really respect Strickland for even going along with this, in all honesty. And I'm also going to talk about Arman Tsarukyan. He's being fined and being told, or not fined, but he's being suspended from the sport and he can reduce it if he does a PSA on anti-bullying. Free my boy Arman Tsarukyan, dude. We start straight away with this. Dan Hooker versus Charles Oliveira. Dan Hooker said in an interview that they've offered Charles Oliveira to match up, and he said yes. So they are currently in the get Oliveira a fight business, is what the UFC is trying to do by the looks of things. Because even though we're seeing this as well, and you could say, okay, well, none of these matchups make sense. One name makes sense above the rest. I even saw some kind of rumor on Charles Oliveira Gamrot as well, so I don't know what's going on, but clearly it's time for a Charles Oliveira fight, and the UFC is very aware of this, and yeah, they offered Charles Oliveira the fight. Suggests that he's been offered and agreed. They offered Dan Hooker the fight with Oliveira, and offered and agreed to fight Charles Oliveira in Perth. Nothing official, but I'm obviously 100% in. The old Charles Oliveira, I think that's the fight the fans would love to see. Let me see if he takes the cake and signs on the dotted line, I assume is what he said there at the end. Great matchup. I reckon Charles Oliveira would really quite easily beat him. I don't really understand the matchup, though. I kind of feel like we need to have Oliveira in fights where, to be fair, he did just lose to Arman Tsarukyan, so he's no longer a top contender that just has to be against other top contenders, right? So he could take a Dan Hooker fight. I just don't understand, like, what are they going to do with Gamrot? I guess just go fuck himself, I guess. Forget Gamrot. You're boring, and this is the punishment for it, I guess. Dan Hooker gets the matchup against Charles Oliveira, which I don't mind. It'll be a fun fight. It's a big matchup. Dan Hooker is a known name. It will add a lot of value to the UFC 305 card as well. I'm sure Oliveira, maybe, who knows? I'm just going to say this. A lot of people are like, why would Oliveira go to Australia to fight Dan Hooker? Why would he do that? Listen, we have a lot of contracts these days where non-champions are getting pay-per-view shares. So if Oliveira's on one of those contracts and he's looking at all of the pay-per-views coming up over the next few months, he doesn't know what the sphere's going to be yet. He's not sure. And that's in September as well. Maybe he wants to return a little bit sooner. He's also looking at other events like, dude, where am I going to put myself here? He's getting a share of the pay-per-view, I think. And if the main event is Adesanya du Plessis, it's going to sell a lot of pay-per-views. So maybe that's what Oliveira's thinking. He just wants to get himself on a card where he can sort of milk some of that pay-per-view share that he's owed by the UFC. Because I heard they were paying him a couple million to fight, Makhachev when the belt was on the line, but when he wasn't actually the champion. So maybe he's got that locked in. A lot of non-champions have that pay-per-view share situation, so I'm hoping Oliveira does as well. I reckon he would beat Dan Hooker, and I also think he would beat Benoit Saint-Denis, but I'm going to say this right now. Benoit Saint-Denis does not deserve a big matchup. Like, maybe like a reasonably large matchup, but not a huge name like Oliveira that's going to get him right back into the title talks. You just lost. Before that, you beat Matt Frevola. Like, I know people were picking him to win, and he is a really talented guy. And he did have staph infection in that fight. However, what have you done, dude? You just lost. Let's get a win first, and then we can talk about Oliveira's. At least Dan Hooker's, like, rebuilt himself and gone on a bit of a win streak recently. Benoit Saint-Denis done nothing since losing. So, I think Benoit Saint-Denis honestly should fight someone like Rafael Fiziev. I think that'd be a sick matchup in Paris. And in the winner of that, we can start talking about getting some big matchups in the lightweight division. Because this is lightweight, dude. You shouldn't be coming off a loss, barely ranked, getting Charles Oliveira. So, yeah. I wonder what Moicano's doing, dude. Maybe Moicano versus Dariush is getting made. I want to look at this, though. Sean Strickland sparring a former K1 champion by the name of... Oh, my God. I can't even remember the guy's name. His name is Rukia Ampo, is his name. And he's a former Japanese K1 champion. He's a lightweight as well. He's 154 pounds, his last weigh-in. So he cuts weight to make lightweight. Strickland's a lot bigger than him. These guys were saying you're lucky he's 40 pounds lighter. I do want to say that 40 pounds on Strickland is not a good 40 pounds. This isn't like a Pereira being 40 pounds heavier than this guy, where it's all frame and all effective weight. This is Sean Strickland with a big fat belly on him and just extra body fat everywhere pretty much. But let's let it play. So Strickland goes out early with some combos. The guy's got pretty good defense. He's wearing a head guard as well because, you know, he's the lighter guy out there and it just makes sense to give him that sort of advantage. Open, dude. The guy goes to the body twice, lands 2 good shots to the body on Strickland. It's crazy seeing this because you see so many UFC fighters just not be able to land anything, but this is what happens when you spar lighter weight class guys. I bet you Strickland's toughest sparring rounds in the gym where it's controlled are like him versus like Jalen Turner, I bet, because he's just tall and way lighter and way more technical. And that is an advantage that they're going to have. Big shot over the top from this guy. Another one over the top as well. Strickland's rolling with him, but still. Dude, dangerous guy. Really looking for a KO on Strickland as well. Which I really rate from Strickland. I know I just want to let the footage play. But he's gone to Japan. He's gone to a random gym. They've got a former K1 kickboxing world champion. And he's just like, yeah, let's hard spar. You can wear a head guard and we'll record it. Which is insane for a UFC big name like Sean Strickland to even risk doing so. I respect it. Body shot again from the guy. Really nice. Dude, maybe these middleweights need to start taking some notes, dude. Give a little feint. Go to the body when Strickland picks his arms up and tries to block all the shots coming to his head. Look, and then he goes right over the top and lands on Strickland. Another right hand over the top, left hand to the body. He's really landing good. Strickland's like, oh, hang on a second here. This guy's swinging. Body shot again. Massive shot over the top on Strickland's chin. Everything he's got into that as well. Bang. Strickland takes it though. Really solid chin on Sean Strickland. I know the guy's smaller, but he's a massive shot. And then Strickland starts doing his thing. This is where the weight comes into it. Good combinations from Strickland. Really messy. Really weird that this was the middleweight champion of the world. And now Strickland's starting to make the guy miss. Frames, right hand as well. Really messy stuff here from Strickland, but I think Strickland's like, right, I'm not playing at range with this guy. Let's just resort to beating the shit out of him. Hood style, you know? And this is where he channels his inner Trevor Peak. Yes, dude. Trevor Peak could be proud of them hammer fists. Uppercuts. Good shot back from the other guy again, but Strickland's and you can see he's just broken by the end of it. That's the pressure Strickland puts on you. The guy took a bit of damage in this. Respect to him. Obviously, he's a K1 champ. He's going to give Strickland problems. And Strickland's even leaving comments like, you'll love Las Vegas, great session. But I love this. This is what I want from Sean Strickland, dude. Not all this just Twitter stuff. I need to give a political take every 10 seconds about something. We need sparring footage. That is the main promotional tool of Sean Strickland outside of like his media day interviews and his press conference moments. Other than that, he's just tweeting about JFK, or not JFK, but you know what I'm saying? He's just tweeting about political shit every day. So this is what we need to see, dude. Strickland rough sparring footage. Keep it up, dude. This is how you promote a fight. And also, Strickland's not looking in shape, so clearly not looking to be the backup for Adesanya Duplessis, it seems. We move on to this, though. For Arman Tsarukyan. If he does a PSA on anti-bullying, he can come back on October the 12th, 2024. If he does not do the PSA, he comes back January 12th, 2024. Which I'm assuming is meant to say 2025. Spinning back fist, I'm sure it is. Because he did this, basically. He was fined $25K as well, on top of that. Because he did this. He's walking out. Some guy's like insulting him. This guy here's giving a middle finger as well. And Arman just sort of goes for him. This guy that's just sort of faded back here, basically. And Arman feints a first punch at him. The guy's like right here, by the way. Nowhere near Arman, really. The guy's like right here. And then Arman swings and like hits his arm, I guess. Like he doesn't really land a punch on the guy. Really. You know, the guy fades. You see the guy there. This guy with a, you know, the dome piece, the shiny dome piece here. He fades well out of range. The punch didn't even land. So I think this is a big overreaction. I get why they're doing it, because they just need to set a standard that fighters can't do this. But I just don't like that Arman Tsarukyan's being now bullied into doing an anti-bullying thing. Like, basically emasculate yourself and shame yourself. Do a public humiliation for us, and we'll let you have your career a bit sooner. Like, I don't like that. I really don't like that at all. But Arman Tsarukyan, dude, free my boy Arman, dude. He did nothing wrong, dude. And also, the thing that annoys me about this the most is that the fan that actually got hit, he didn't even get hit, by the way. And he knows he didn't. Therefore, he didn't sue. He's never really came out and said anything about it. I think he mentioned that he would like tickets to a McGregor event next if he could. Like, he's never actually came out with any hardline, this needs to be done about this. So this is all of basically the commission taking this into their own hands and just, you know, shaming Arman Tsarukyan, which I kind of get. He shouldn't be doing that, but I don't know, dude. At least this is a headline for him. The problem is that this is really strategically done, because if I'm not mistaken, the Abu Dhabi card is after this in October. They could do like an Abu Dhabi pay-per-view towards the end of October, or even around this October date as well. And that's basically like having a carrot on a stick for Arman Tsarukyan. Like, you know you want that title shot, dude, against Makhachev in Abu Dhabi, right? Because that's basically the next fight for Arman Tsarukyan. And it seems weird that it's like conveniently just in time for when he can be on that card if he does make this public apology. Which I just think is dumb, dude. It's just going to make him lose promotability, but I guess another headline will be made when he eventually does make the video. I'd say if I was him, I'd be like, dude, UFC, am I going to get this title shot? Because if I am, I will absolutely shame myself for the public. But either way, like and subscribe. I say the guy that flipped him off and was talking shit to him, that made him throw a punch at him, should like have to be in the video as well. Also saying that what he did was wrong. Because come on, dude. I hate that shit. It's like when you're like, you know, you hear someone went to prison for assault. And it's just like, oh, I just won a fight, basically, at a club. And the guy who started a fight maybe but got knocked out just isn't going to have any consequence. Like, it's a really weird system that we have sometimes. But obviously, you can't throw punches at fans. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.